Welcome back in, y'all. It is good to see you here on Sunday, as always. Thanks for stopping back by, sitting with me for a little bit. I got a few things to talk about today, um, and kind of on a break from doing giveaways because I can't make anything right now. We're going to talk about that. But today I am, of course, I know y'all, I'm just a boring guy. I'm on the Sinead's cake still. That's my blend. That's what I smoke the majority of the time. I mean, earlier I did have a bowl of Old Joe Krantz, Blue Label, but for the most part, it's always Sinead's cake. And the pipe today is a my La Roca from Italy, and I made a new stem for it. Y'all ain't gonna be able to see it very well because it's green, and my green screen back here messes with it. So as you can see, um, yeah, it's basically transparent. But I got a picture of it. It's really interesting. I like it. It functions really well. Well, let me show you a picture of it here, y'all, real quick. Um, right here. So yeah, that's what the new stem looks like for my La Roca. It's I want to call it Listerine Green. You all know the mouthwash Listerine. You know, it's that emerald green style color, but so that's what it looks like to me. It's got a lot of nice character in it, good shimmer. I did make it a fishtail, um, and turned out great. Functions well, looks good. Now, right up here towards the shank, I did something different this time. Now, even though a um, this is not a wedge style stem. Um, it kind of looks that way with the way I shaped it right here. So it kind of looks like it wedges out and then goes in. It's not. But it looks that way. It's kind of cool the way. And every time I do a stem, y'all, I mess around. I try different things just to see how it'll work out, and I do like the way this worked out. I could have sent it just straight. Um, you know, um, I could have sent it straight where everything matched up here with the pipe, and that would have been fine. That's classic. That's the way most pipes are. But I tend not to be like most people. That's just me. Um, so I made it this way, and I do like it. I like the way it turned out, and it functions very well, very well. The uh, button in clenches very well. Um, Works out great. I really like it, y'all. Um, yeah, but got like I said, I want a few things to say, and then we're going to talk about why I'm not making any giveaways here, at least this week. But yeah, something funny, y'all. Something funny. So I'm sitting on the couch the other night with my wife, and I smoke in the house, y'all, and it's just me and her. We don't have the kids are all gone, nobody else around. It's just me and her. Of course, when the grandbabies do come over, I only smoke outside. But when nobody's around, I smoke in the house, y'all. I do. I know some of y'all don't, and that's fine. I do. So I'm sitting on the couch and I'm smoking, and my wife looks over at me and she says, "Is that a new blend?" And I says, "No, it's the one I've been smoking for quite some time, Sinead's Cake." Um, and I told her why, and she goes, "Cause it smells different." And I said, "Well, what does it smell like?" She goes, "It smells like stinky feet." Stinky feet. I said, "Well, I can guarantee you it tastes better than it smells." Um, And normally I do ask my wife to please let me know if my blend that I'm smoking at the time is just obnoxiously bad, and I'll try not to smoke it. But she said it smelled like stinky feet, and she could take it. It's okay. Um, I myself don't have stinky feet, so I wouldn't know. But this blend, for some reason, she thought smelled like stinky feet, and so I thought to myself, um, how many other ladies are out there thinking things, and maybe they say it too, and maybe some guys out there talk about blends, and I'm thinking, Cornell and Deal and Peterson and McBaron and all them, they should actually name their blends what they smell like. Hmm. So in this case, Old Dark Fired, well, you could just label that one as Texas barbecue, as far as I'm concerned. Peterson's Irish Flake, you could label that one barbecue too. Not quite as rich as Texas barbecue, but still good barbecue. Um, Other blends. One that really messed me up, y'all, was, as you know, I'm going to say used to. I used to be a really big Latakia lover. I loved Latakia blends. Peterson's Early Morning Pipe was my favorite. And then, of course, there were others. Plum Pudding has a good Latakia in it from the Seattle Pipe Club. Um, and then, of course, there's a couple others I got up here still, just sitting there all lonely, not being smoked. Hmm, maybe someday. But one of the reasons why I don't smoke it that much, and I'll tell you why, is I was listening to Sonny the Piper. If any of y'all watch his channel, he reviews blends for the most part, and he was talking about he does not like Latakia one day, and I thought, well, that's your loss. And then he messed it up for me, y'all. He sat there and he says, Latakia tastes like cologne. And I thought to myself, cologne? Huh. But the next time I had a bowl of Latakia, the only thing I tasted was cologne. And it messed me up. Prior to that, I loved it. I loved it, and it was the thought, and I actually tasted and I thought, that's true. It does kind of taste like cologne. And the smell, I don't know, maybe somewhere along the line I've accidentally sprayed cologne in my mouth, but it tasted like cologne, smelt like cologne. Ever since then, I've just been kind of messed up on Latakia. I really don't smoke it at all. So, that kind of messed me up on Latakias. But so there's another name. You can find a Latakia blend and call it men's cologne. There's other blends out there. You call it frog's breath. I don't know, y'all. There's all kinds of blends out there. I'm sure the ladies would have some good names for them, such as my wife having the name for my Shanae's cake. I like that name. But she calls it Stinky Feet. Anyways, y'all, um, going on, I made this stem, of course, this week, and that's about the only time I've had to do much. And reason why is I've been working on Mr. Greg Tunnels, um, his church warden case that he commissioned me to make. Now, normally I don't really do much commissioned work um, for a couple reasons. Uh, Mainly, I like to be creative, and when I build something, I just want to flow. And whatever I see in my mind goes into the project and comes out. That's why I like building things and then just giving them away. When someone commissions you, they of course want what they want, and that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable, and you should want what you want. However, it kind of squashes my creative juices, um, and I become a little less interested in the project because of it. It's a hobby. It's not a job. If it was a job, of course, the customer would always be right, and I would do everything to the way the customer wanted to a T. or to the best of my abilities. But this is a hobby. It's not my job. Mr. Greg Tunnel is a very, very high quality connoisseur man, and he has very, very high quality standards. And I get it. And he should. We all should. Um, he appreciates quality craftsmanship, and he has pushed me um, in boundaries that I normally don't like to be in. But it's a good thing. We all need to get pushed further, and so we can grow and so we can learn. And I am learning. I'm going to show you some pictures of some things here I'm doing for Mr. Greg Tunnel. As soon as I get done with his project, we'll get into those tobacco trays or some pipe rests. Definitely looking forward to that, especially the tobacco tray. I've never done one. I actually need one for myself. But either way, right now it is all about Mr. Greg Tunnel, and we are doing stuff for him. Let me get right here. So I showed you that material not too far back. Mr. Greg Tunnel wanted for his church warden case. Very long case, about 17 inches long. It'll be about 4.5 inches tall and about 5.5 inches wide. So he can put a long church warden in there. He wanted a jar of tobacco to go in there, pipe cleaners, lighter, and then whatever else he chooses to put in there. That's up to him. But this is the alligator style material that he wanted. This is pure Ipanema leather that has been stamped out to look like alligator skin. And it's just wonderful material, y'all. I showed it to you before. But here I made this is the bottom section that I'm making right now for it. And but he wanted it stiffened up. You know, right here, it kind of looks pretty flimsy. And the leather's a good thickness of leather. However, still a little too flimsy for Mr. Greg Tunnel's taste. And that's fine. So I needed to make a stiffener for it. So what I did is I fitted in a piece of 7 to 9 ounce leather. For those of you that are leather workers, you'll know that's a very thick leather. And I put that in the bottom, and also lining the sides with that same 7 to 9 ounce leather. Now this has become slightly challenging for me. This is the pushing part of me pushing my boundaries. So I have a piece of 7 9 ounce leather in the bottom here, and I realized I needed to do something with the sides. But I also gave him two choices here. He wanted a plastic style zipper. Brown or black is what I gave him the choice for, and he chose brown. I think that's a very good choice. That brown kind of matches in here a lot better than the black. Black would have worked, but the brown looks great there also. So right here is where I was taking the sides. This would be the sides, and my sewing machine is a good sewing machine, and it'll punch through leather. Anything you can put up underneath its pressure foot, it will punch through. However, when you get two pieces of 7 9 ounce, it's a little on the heavy side for my machine. So I needed to hand sew these two pieces of leather together to work with this project. So for any of you that have worked with leather before, Mr. Mark Cox out there, I know you have, sir, but so you'll understand that you have to punch holes in the leather in order to sew it all together. And this is all hand sewn. So right here, you can see the sides are going on, and I am hand sewing this whole thing right here. Any of y'all that have hand sewn leather, you'll realize it's a long process. It's tedious. It can be a little sore on the hands. Now the needles are kind of blunt at the end, so you don't have to worry about poking your fingers or anything, but still, as you're pulling through, it's just a long process, and your fingers kind of get sore from pulling on those needles and tightening up the string as you go along. So it's a tedious process, but we're doing it for this project here, and we're getting this all hand sewn up. I'm gonna have to do, so this is the bottom. I'll be doing the top the same way. So it's going to stiffen up this project. So right here's another picture of it all. You can see here, everything is hand sewn right there. And these, of course, will stiffen up the inside of that project. Now, I did go ahead and I dyed it too, a style of brown, not a very dark brown, but a style of brown. And you'll see that too. Once it get done, so this is all hand sewn, you can see that. Um, and it holds up very well, holds up really well. And the thread is a wax thread. It's a very heavy thread, um, heavier than upholstery thread. So uh, it, yeah, it's very tough. It'll stand up to a lot of abuse. There's another picture of it on the other side of it. Like I said, this thing's pretty long, and it's got to be long for his church wardens. Now I went ahead and stuck my church warden in here, just to give him an idea of what was going to happen, and he wanted it, a jar of tobacco to go in here, along with a lighter, church warden pipe cleaners. Of course, those would be longer, right? And whatever other items he wants to put in here. So I was just kind of giving him a picture of what it would look like so far. And there we go. I went ahead and dyed the interior of this thing a brown color. And I was working out how I would keep his church wardens in place so they didn't, just fall loose with inside the case as he's carrying it. And I was trying to figure out different ways of doing it. And I figured out something I really liked. And he ended up liking it too, which was awesome. Um, and that's the way we're going to do it here. So there'll be two of these elastic pull tabs that will be riveted to the bottom of this interior. And then he can just pick up on that, push the button, pull down, and hold his pipes in place, um, where he wants them. So two church wardens. Now, Mr. Gregg did say that he does own a smaller pipe other than a church warden, which I found surprising, because every time I see him, he's always got a church warden in his hand. But this will take, the way we're setting this up, it will work for church wardens or your normal size pipe. And so there's a tape measure and kind of give you a little bit of, yeah, it's 17 inches long on the inside. Now these areas right here, I'm either going to fold them over and glue to the inside before I put the zipper in place. I still haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do there. So we're still in the process of doing this. And there's a bigger picture. So this is my top section right here. The bottom section was kind of like the belly of the alligator. And so the top, of course, we want it to be the top of the alligator, or what they call the back strap. Now I came real close to getting a true alligator back strap. They're decently expensive, but I thought, that might just really pick it up a notch, you know, throw it over the edge. But it's a very, very thick piece of material that they take from the alligator, crocodile. And there's actually pieces of bone, I found out, that creates these raised areas within the backstrap. And they say, yeah, you would not be able to sew through that. Whatever, so you'd have to sew around the outsides or whatever, and hope that you didn't have to sew in through the boned area of the backstrap, because they say the bone stays in there. I thought that was kind of weird. But anyways, but we didn't do that. We went with just the normal embossed leather. So I'm still working on this one here, y'all. As you can see, I got the top. I got to get going. I got a lot more to do. I work on it a little bit every day after work and here on the weekend. But we'll get this one done, and then we'll get into some more giveaways. I am looking forward to getting onto that. Um, but I am kind of excited, and I just got some new things in. Uh, I'm going to build myself a new pipe, and uh, I have this one going right now, right here. It's basically going to be, I guess, a bent apple when I get done, but I still have to carve away these areas right here, shape it all up. But for the most part, it's a pretty deep pipe. I mean, well, I think it's probably standard, standard size pipe. Let's find out its depth. So the depth, the depth's about 32 millimeters. So it's pretty much standard. And the width, the opening, 19.5 millimeters. So that's pretty much standard. Um, but it'll do fine. It'll do fine. Either way, and I looked for the longest time. I was trying to figure out how do they make these silver caps, silver bands, nickel bands. They've got, I was even thinking, well, I get some chrome. I don't care. But how do they do it? Because I want to make it myself, and I just couldn't figure it out. I tried to resource the material, everything. Finally, I went to a pipe maker's website, and I found that they were selling the bands and all those things. So I said, I'm just gonna get one. And I did. I ordered a nickel. I got to shine it up. It's not very shiny. But I ordered a nickel VO. They called it a VOP. I don't know what that means, but it goes over the end here, just like that. And then I'll be able to make my wedge style stem coming out of it. And so for the first time, I've always worked with acrylics on my stems. This time I decided to do what the professionals do, what they've done for years, and I got a piece of ebonite. This here is a piece of ebonite, and it's called Jade Swirl. So in the middle, it's supposed to be a whole bunch of swirls. I don't know, y'all. I'll turn it and I'll shine it up after I've drilled it out. And I still haven't decided if I'm going to um, make a P-lip or if I'm just going to do a normal standard fishtail for this. But that's going to be something new here in the future. A new pipe. Now, of course, I forgot to say this is olive wood, y'all. It's not briar, as you can tell. Um, and I gotta say, my olive wood pipe, um, I like the way they smoke. I really do. And I don't know why yet, but I do know my olive wood pipes that I have built and I smoke them. Um, they smoke better than a briar. And I've tried to analyze, do they absorb uh, moisture really good? Because I noticed that sometimes with my briars, if I have a blend that's kind of moist and I haven't dried it out properly or whatever, towards the end of the bowl, it gets really moist for some reason. And it just won't smoke too well. And then after that, I kind of have to let that pipe dry out for a day or so before I can go back to it. Um, but for some reason, the olive wood seems to maybe absorb the moisture, and it gives me a drier smoke, almost a cooler smoke also. I don't know. If any of y'all can tell me why that is, let me know. Um, but anyways, new one that I'll be working on in my spare time after I am done with Mr. Greg Tunnel's project. And then, of course, we're going to get on to those tobacco trays. They call them a valet, tobacco valet, whatever. Um, we'll make some of those, and we'll get rolling again. Um, but y'all, thanks for stopping back by. I do appreciate y'all. I hope all y'all have a good time this weekend, enjoying your families, um, enjoying it. This weather. It's been real hot, screaming hot here in Dallas, y'all. Drinking Mama's strawberry lemonade. She actually made this herself. I watched her squeeze the lemons and puree up fresh strawberries, and it is wonderful. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. But y'all, until next time, take care of yourselves. We'll see you.